Hey, I'm Jonette Cruz, and this is Unfiltered Weekly, your weekly wrap-up on all things society, culture, and lifestyle news with trending stories and more. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now also on Substack. So could Starbucks be doing away with your favorite drink? Starbucks lovers, your favorite Frappuccino might be on the chopping block. The CEO just announced that they're planning on a major menu shakeup, slashing a whopping 30% of the food and drink items. So why? Apparently things have just gotten way too complicated. Plus, sales have been slumping for the last 4 consecutive quarters. So they're looking at the whole revamp as kind of revamping and getting a whole new vibe to the place. Think less overwhelming menu board and more cozy coffee house. They're even cracking down on the open door policy, meaning you can't just pop in to use the restroom or grab some water. You gotta buy something. So are they simplifying things or are they making it difficult? Only time and the new menu will tell. Heads up, Apple Watch owners, if you have an original Apple Watch, so series 1, 2, or 3, you might be able to get some cash back. Turns out there was a lawsuit about batteries swelling up and causing problems, and Apple has agreed to a $20 million settlement. Apple has responded by saying, while we strongly disagree with the claims made against these early generation Apple Watch models, we agreed to settle to avoid further litigation. Basically, if you have an old Apple Watch battery swelled up and you complained about it to Apple between April of 2015 and February of 2024, you could be eligible. The payout isn't huge. It's only about between $20 and $50, depending on how many people file claims. But hey, it is something. You've got until April 10th of this year to submit your claim online. Well, isn't this story timely? Is humanity closer to a catastrophe? The doomsday clock just ticked closer to midnight, and that's not a good thing. So it's now just 89 seconds away, the closest it's been in almost its 80-year history. The scientists behind the clock, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, are basically saying the world is in serious danger. They look at things like climate change, nuclear weapons, AI, and even misinformation to decide how close we are to self-destruction. This year, all of those things are flashing red. They're especially worried about the wars in Ukraine and in the Middle East, infectious diseases, conspiracy theories that can spread public discourse. Now, the clock isn't always right. It has moved away from midnight before, but the scientists see it as more of a diagnosis than a prediction. While the doomsday clock has been criticized by some alarmists, its operators maintain they are drawing a conclusion from events and trends and not trying to predict a future. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists was founded in 1945 by a group of Chicago-based scientists who had worked on the world's first atomic bomb and wanted to educate the public about the consequences of nuclear weapons. Those are my cats. Sorry. What are you guys doing? A rare corpse flower just bloomed at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, and let's just say it's not exactly a breath of fresh air. Visitors flock to see and smell, get this, the Amorphophallus gigas, a plant famous for its rotting flesh scent. One visitor described it as a mix of feet, cheese, and rotten meat. Wow. This particular plant, a cousin of the even more famous corpse flower, is native to Sumatra and has been chilling in Brooklyn since 2018, waiting for its moment to shine and stink. It's the first time it's bloomed since arriving, and it actually won't last long, just only for a few days before it collapses. Apparently, it takes years for it to bloom. So it's a pretty big deal. Obviously a pretty stinky one. The smell is all part of the plan, though, as it attracts the bugs it needs to pollinate. Feeling lonely? Well, you could find a new family on Facebook. Seriously. There's a growing trend of people connecting online to find surrogate grandparents or even grandkids. Think of it like a dating app, but for family. Donna Scora, a 68-year-old retired paralegal from Summerfield, Florida, created Surrogate Grandparents USA in 2015. Everybody needs some kind of support system emotionally, she says. Some members of the group have lost loved ones, while others have had never really families of their own. But what the group really represents, Donna says, is a refuge for the estranged. It turns out a lot of people are, in fact, estranged from their families these days. just about 30% of us. And while social media can sometimes make rifts worse within the families and in relationships, it can also help people find connection. Groups like Surrogate Grandparents USA are popping up, connecting people who crave those family bonds. It might sound surprising to find genuine connection on Facebook, but it's still a massive platform where people use their real names and connect with real friends and family. This particular group started small, but has exploded in popularity with currently over 11,000 members, showing just how many people are looking for this kind of connection. And now you're all caught up for the week. Thanks for listening and watching to this week's Unfiltered Weekly. Make sure you subscribe to all of our podcasts. We are everywhere. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and now also on Substack.